All right, team. Welcome to the Ravit Show. I am super excited to talk to Sharad Varshney, co-founder and CEO of OvalEdge. Today, we'll be discussing about Sharad's journey, how to grow your career in data governance. You can also ask him questions around data catalog, about the roadmap to data governance, and a lot more things. Don't hesitate. We are here to answer questions, and Sharad will be happily taking any questions around data governance. A little about our guest today. Sharad is the CEO and co-founder of OvalEdge, and he sees OvalEdge as next step for big data. Last 2 decades was mostly about business process transformation, but the next decade would be about digital transformation driven by data and the cloud. These are his perspective. OvalEdge is the only solution that solves the majority of big data challenges, from access to the data to delivering insights. And we will be also discussing a little about OvalEdge, about what's the future for OvalEdge, and how he's planning to, obviously scale up things. For everyone who's joining us today, feel free to type in hashtag 365 data science. We'll be giving away one annual subscription of 365 data science, and this is what you need to type. I can already see Matthew joining us. Hey, Matthew, good to see you. Yeah, so hashtag 365 data science in the chat, and we will be announcing the winners towards the end of the show. All right. And as I mentioned, ask questions to Sharad about data governance, data catalog, and much more. Let's not make our guest wait anymore, and let's have Sharad here. Hey, Sharad, welcome to the Ravit Show. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Ravit. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm all good.
Thank you for this opportunity and talk to you.
Yeah,
it's really
definitely.
fun.
It's been a while since we spoke. I guess almost last year, and since then, obviously, OvalEdge has grown so much. You guys have scaled up so well. So obviously, want to discuss about it. And also, in a year, I know for a fact data governance has become so important. People have understood the importance of data governance, and also, I'm sure the folks joining us today would love to know more about how to grow your career in data governance, and even like if you could, share a roadmap, and we'll be obviously discussing about that during our show. So for the folks who are joining us, feel free to have your questions coming in. But obviously, to start with, Sharad, why not introduce yourself?
Thank you, Ravit. I'm Sharad. I founded OvalEdge about 7 years ago, and why I founded, because I was working for the company named Hortonworks. Now it's merged with Cloudera. I was the architect there, and my role was actually to go different customers and implement their big data solution. So one of the big thing everybody was trying to do is move all the data at one place and trying to find insights from it. But when you move all the data to one place, there is a problem. So there is a problem is around data discovery, which data is where, which data is correct, which data is not correct, and the data governance. When we talk about data governance, means the problem around it, like, can we access the data? Like, for example, when you put all the data, there is also salary information is there. There is also, stock information is there. There's also revenue information is there. Can anybody get the salary information? No, other than HR, right? So the data lake was not designed for those purposes. Data lake is like you move the data and analyze it. They're not designed to do the governance, etc. So we kind of build the software to do the governance from the access perspective, from the quality of the data perspective. When the data comes in, how the quality of the data is, as well as from the literacy perspective, which is like let everybody understand what the data is. Because then when all the data at one place, there is one more skill set is needed, like how do we discover the data, how do you find new data source. So that's what the OvalEdge does, is provides the framework and the tool and technologies as well as solution to kind of like do the data governance end to end. That's what our product does, and that's like this is why we founded it, and we again started growing, and now we are pretty much 250 people overall. Yeah. So
wow, it's huge. And definitely it has, like I mentioned, obviously since last year when we spoke, it was like people were obviously wanting to learn more about data governance, but now it has become a necessity out there. And I know for a fact we'll be talking a lot around data governance today, but why not start with the basics and let our audience learn what is data governance?
Okay, so let's take a simple analogy from government point of view, right? Let's
Yep.
understand the word governance, then we will come to the data governance. So let's say that you go to Syria, you go to US, or you go to the India, right? So you go Syria, you go US. They both are country, but if you see the per capita income of Syria versus US, there is a lot of difference, right? So a US, a European, they are well-functioning democracies. They have governance procedures, how people should behave, how should people work about it, right? So that's what the governance means. It's like put together a framework in place where it tells you that how do you function, how do you work together in a society. Society is a society, right? If you do not have that in place, then nothing happens. Like in go Syria, there's no innovation is happening. There's no creativity. There's people are living in fear, right? Versus in US, there is a lot of thriving innovation and something. Same thing. Now the data governance came up because we know that there is a lot can be improved in terms of data. So forget like so if you think around it, since so far like from 2000 to 2020, most of the innovation is around applications. That people are developing applications. What is happening in that application? You are basically producing data. Not only that, but it's basically digitizing the process. So it's a certain thing which I used to work on a piece of paper, now I can do on computer. It can save me some time. I can do the reservation faster and quicker. That is easily connectivity allowing me to do it. But now the next era, with the next 10 decade, would be about productivity improvement as well as about the efficiency improvement of every business process. Let's say the supply chain process, right? Supply chain is highly dysfunctional right now. If the chip is not available at one place, that means that everywhere else it's the repercussion. You can see it. It's highly dysfunctional. A lot of inventory is sitting at one place. A lot of inventories. There's shortage of some certain supply. So there's a lot of things which can be improved if we use data efficiently. If we can figure out the data mechanism, which Amazon did, for example, able to solve a lot of optimize the supply chain. Similar to that, we can optimize healthcare. Similar to optimize banking, and a lot of money can be saved, or the efficiency can be created in overall processes, right? So this all things have to be drive, which we call a digital transformation. This is what the digital transformation really is: optimizing those business processes. And everything cannot be done without data. The data have to be leveraged in order to do supply chain optimization or healthcare optimization or any optimization. Your data need to be leveraged. And in order to leverage data, you need to access data. You need to be the data scientist. So data is not going to work. Oh, here is the data and here is the AI and here's the solution. It's not going to work that way. There's a lot of people need to work on a specific use case, figuring out one piece at a time, and deliver that in a whole big project plan. There is a one component have to be done. For that specific one component which you have to solve it, there's maybe a insights you have to create, a metrics you have to create. This need to trickle down further. For that thing, you have to discover the data. What is the data? Where it's coming from? Where it is going? What is doing? And then after that, you have to must do data science on it and then move on, right? So the part which is in the overall strategy, there are two aspects of it. One is like offensive. Offensive is, I would say, like data science, data engineering, move data around, which is like a real work which the data scientists have to do it, to do this. Another one is a defensive strategy, which is like make sure the data is protected, salary information is not known to other people, right? The data is the right information is known. When it says salary is actually salary, it's not a bonus, right? So that, or it's when you say the revenue, this is actually revenue, it's not a gross margin. So whatever the things are, the literacy component of it and the quality of the data. The three components basically combine the right data to the right people at the right time, delivery of the right data to the right time, right? That is what we call it governance. So this is in terms of the data governance is where, so if the data governance is right, your democracy will function. That means your data science and data engineering will function at optimal efficiency. and they can really do it. And if they do not data governance, it become like a Syria. The data science and data engineering group become like, again, I don't want to disrespect Syria, but it's like, it just give you the example of that this is where it will look like the efficiency, the innovation will cannot happen. And that's what is need to drive innovation. You need a proper governance and framework. That's what the data governance is.
No, I think, Sharad, this is super informative, and thanks for sharing those details, because it kind of makes sense when you say it kind of comes before even data literacy and all of those things. And it's like a structure that you're creating to make sure that the data is being supported very well. And I know for a fact there are many questions in there about data governance, and a lot of folks joining us. I can see a very interesting question from George, who's another great leader in the data governance space. Hey, George, very nice to see you here. So, George is asking, who would you recommend to go for a career in data governance?
So there are multiple career field in data governance, right? So the one field is one role is data governance manager, which kind of take care of all the data governance aspect. Another role is generally the data steward, which basically generally is a I would consider this as a part-time role, which generally these are the people who are running the data engineering group or data science or product ownership somewhere, and they become the data owner, data steward, to kind of make sure that they are ensuring the quality of the data is right, etc. Right? So there's a data governance, as well as there is a kind of like, I call it governance engineer, but they are like a more of like a tool administrator, right? Those who administer the tool, those who facilitate all the things need to be done for data governance manager to execute their data governance strategy. So there is a data governance manager who execute the data governance strategy. So you also need somebody who can advise you to the strategy, like, because if you are becoming a new data governance manager, you need to know somebody whom you work with together. So you can hire some part-time or somewhere a data governance strategist who can help you to run your strategy, kind of work together. So data governance manager is the one who manages the entire aspect. Some people call it director data governance, some people call data governance manager. Those are the different roles, right? Those who runs the program, and then facilitation of that can happen by stewards, and then data custodians are somebody who can take care of and provide that information to data governance manager, and okay, these are the activities need to be conducted. And then it's a more of like a project manager role, frankly speaking, to manage a lot of things, right? Because it's again like a politician, right? It's you consider as a politician those who manages the policies, who does coordinate all the things, coordinate within the company, like data engineering group, data science group, data as well as data owners who are producing the data, application people, the developers. All these need to work together in order to make data efficient, right? So that's what the different roles are in order to make the career in data governance, and that's what the roles are. That's I would explain.
Yeah, fair enough, Sharad. Amazing answer to an amazing question. Thanks for that question, George. Also, that when we talk about these roles, going a little backside, when you want to start into such roles. So, what kind of education can help support a role in data governance for those who are wanting to get into making a career in data governance? What's that education you would suggest that can support the role?
So the data governance role is for few who want to grow in a leadership position in the company. So for example, if you want to go data, like for example, if you are a data scientist and you want to really do the data science and you want to be architect, the data governance is not a role for you. But if you want to grow in a leadership position, if you want to be CEO of a company, if you want to be the chief data officer of a company, if you want to grow in a leadership role in an organization, and then you should pursue data governance career. Like similar to that, I would say again, the analogy comes out, the politician analogy is like if you want to become politician, if you want to become a president, governor, or somebody, that where you have to follow politics, right? Otherwise, there is a lot of other career. So similar to that, data governance career is a key to the leadership role in the organization, right? Now it comes to that, like the basic skills is needed. Now the basic skills are communication skills. You need a phenomenal communication skills to be a good data governance manager, right? Uh, that is like the key of it. The project management skills you need to kind of complete and then take care of all the aspects of the things. If you have a data background, that's obviously like some data background is good, because if you have a data background in the sense that you are a data engineer, data scientist, growing in that career is a phenomenon for that. So those are the skills, basic skills are needed in order to do this. Then you need to have certain education about data governance. So there is a when I try to study data governance, I couldn't find a very good material about data governance. There are certain books are available, and that's one of the reasons we created our own academy called OvalEdge Academy to kind of teach people data governance. But there are other courses like George courses, other courses are available as well, which teaches about data governance overall, which is good courses. And I would say that take the education from multiple areas so that your brain is open, like you can see things because it's a leadership role. You need to understand from multiple angle how things need to position. Just like a political leader have to know multiple things in order to execute really well. Similar to the leadership, people need to know there are different strategies, different execution style. There's no one way of doing data governance. There is not a set path to it. There is a various tactics are available. And you have to form your strategy based on those various tactics which is available, and then execute on it. So that's how it works. There are multiple methodologies, there are multiple systems, but there is not a silver bullet for one thing. Like you do this and your data governance can happen. There's nothing like that. There's always there are various tactics to execute data governance, and that's what you have to follow. So those are the different areas, I would say.
Okay, that's fair and very insightful, Sharad. Also, we had a question from Matthew Emmerich here, and this is something related to the last one that you mentioned. Matthew is asking, is data governance role more of a technical or a leadership role?
I think, as I explained, this is a more of a leadership role. Especially data governance manager is a leadership role, but there is a other technical role is required in that area. Like the one is the data governance, like a tool administrator, what we call it governance engineer, right? So that role is a technical role which can kind of bring all the data, metadata from everywhere, kind of put the consolidation, run the impact analysis for you, run the various things, So there's a kind of like a technical role is there needed, which can support the data governance manager to execute this, right? The leadership role. Another role is also the data custodian role, which is more of like um, again, bringing the data together, running the impact analysis, understanding, there is an impact of this particular field is going all the way downstream into various reports, various data assets, and it goes to, different metrics, different KPIs. So if you have to understand that, that is like more of like a technical role, but it's more like a functional role. Functional role in the sense that you should not have a lot of technical knowledge in the sense that like real SQL knowledge or something, but you should be able to have a quite a bit good understanding of um, a tool. How does tool work? How does the Tableau work? How does Power BI work? Application works? Those kind of understanding, and that still is a little bit technical role, as well as little bit I would say that leadership role, because they can also have to execute data governance manager. Again, it's a small company, then one data governance manager. If this is a large company, then you not only need a data governance director, for example, and there are 2 or 3 people, maybe data governance managers working for director and executing that, the whole strategy for with them. So those all 4 or 5 roles can be again the leadership role with more technical skills involved in that. But if the people coming from technical skills and coming to the leadership role, that is mostly the better. Like this is one of the best way to be really successful in that career.
Okay. Also, there's something more coming up in the audience that I find very interesting, and this could be a question for a lot of folks out there. So Yashwant is asking, is data governance only only for the big players, larger organizations game, or is it for the small and medium enterprises too?
It's for everyone. It's not for mom and pop shop, like if you're a retail shop or retail, like if you're running a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
It's definitely not for them. But it is definitely for a company who have some data and want to leverage the data for some sort of a value creation. So any company, if you are like a lot of credit union, like they're comparatively small, like mid-sized company. I generally the mid-sized to large companies. Companies generally have uh, um, you know at least 200 to 500 employees are there for that kind of companies, plus more than anything, right? So that is the company which have data, and they should also have a data. Like there may be a 200 company, a real estate company which have 200 real estate agent and they are working on it. They probably may not need it. But if there is a company who is a IT company, a tech company, which have 200 developers who's developing application, for them it makes sense because they are producing a lot of data, right? So it depends upon that. So the companies who have data, they need data governance to start with, and 200 people, and if the 200 people are working with the data, it's a lot of people, right? So to manage and govern, and who can have access to what information, whereas means we see that even 4 people, 5 people work in the data space, they also need to have governance in place. Forget about 400, 200 people. So whenever if more than 1 or 2 people need to access data, they need data governance in place.
Okay, that's interesting and definitely answers Yashwant's question there. Thanks for that question, Yashwant. We have another question from LinkedIn user. I guess it's Jane. Yeah, she's asking, I want to know how exactly data governance is executed. Do you have any guidelines on that, Sharad?
Okay, so it's a little long process, but I simplify
Yeah.
in my a simple methodology. The simple methodology is that we collect the data at not the data, but we collect all the metadata from all central places at one place first, right? What we call it foundational element. So we build the foundational element. After that, we discuss that, okay, what is the main objective of the data governance is for the organization. Is it providing a quick access to everyone? Then we run the access management part of the data governance to start with. Or then after that, they say, no. Now we have provided the quick access to everyone so that we can start leveraging it. But there is a problem of like where the trust problem, which comes like where the data is coming from, where it is going. It's good that we have access to all the data. Like if you go to the Facebook, you have access to all the news. And there's a fake news, there is a real news, but you want to know really which one is fake, which one is news, so that you can make some decisions about the large scale and understanding about the world. Then you need some sort of a governance to make sure that the data which is coming is trustworthy. That's where the literacy programs comes in. Then literacy programs jumps and kind of create the efficiency in the not only efficiency but kind of create the transparency and trust in that where the data come from, where it goes. Transparency is the main word, which basically it creates, because everybody have access to the metadata. They can see where they're coming from, and what is the impact of if I change certain data element here. So that transparency ended up creating trust, whether okay, I can see what is going on here, underline it, and it's build the trust. So that's the literacy aspect of it. And the third aspect is the quality of the data. So if you are running a business machine learning algorithm or something for data science, garbage in, garbage out. That's the typical thing is. So if the data is not high quality, whatever the things you will put in your machine learning model or AI model is not going to work out really good, or any insights driven. So you need to improve the quality of the data so you need to run data quality improvement life cycle. That is something that when you run on the piece of data, that the process, the business process you create in order to improve the data quality, that is considered as data governance part as well. So there are 3 major components of data governance: literacy, quality, and access, which kind of give you that, right? And then there is a measurement aspect. You can measure your data quality through maturity assessment over the period of time to kind of keep doing the maturity assessment, doing that. So that's at a very high level This is how do you execute on it. And in our academy, we have kind of like explained that how does you can kind of people can watch videos that how to execute that.
Yeah. No, I think this is super helpful, Sharad. And talking about obviously the academy, what we've done is obviously shared the link with the folks in the. I'll quickly share it in the chat. So, how does this academy works? Like, what do people need to do? How do they start? Can you tell us more about the
So
OvalEdge
this
data
is a,
governance?
a URL. You can go academy.overledge.com,
Yep.
or you can go to OvalEdge. There is an academy link, and they can simply go and watch videos. And they are very
Oh,
video lessons. And like just like you're watching, there are probably like hour worth of video, more than that. So if you watch those videos, you will learn all these steps step by step in a nice structured manner to learn everything about data governance unit.
okay, that's fantastic. I'll quickly
And
share the
it's a
link.
free service. You don't have to
Yeah.
pay anything for that. Right now, it's complimentary. We will start charging maybe sometime later, but at this point of time, we are not charging anything.
You have your chance. Go and get it, guys. Definitely,
Yeah.
and that's obviously a great thing that you're doing for the community, Sharad. So thanks for that. Obviously, people want to learn more about data governance, and your explanations out there kind of creates that difference for the folks, because you are working basically in the practical world, and it all these make a lot of sense to us. Also, we had a interesting question from Andrew Jones. So Andrew is basically asking, what should a hands-on data scientist or analyst know about data governance? It affects them, but sometimes sits outside their direct remit. What is the most important high-level thing to understand about the area? Very interesting
Wow,
question.
what an amazing question. This is just an amazing question. Um, it's again, I will take the same analogy of the government. How can an individual do in terms of improving the governance of the country, right? That's kind of like, because it affects them dearly, like because if the data is not high quality, the ultimately people will not blame data governance because there's no data governance group. Ultimately they say, hey, your model sucks, right? Whatever the data
Mm,
scientists are creating the
true.
model, right? And they don't know that because the data sucks, that's why the model sucks. But people will blame
Mhm.
model, not data. So it is they need to demand the data governance from their leadership. They say, hey, without data governance, I'm not. They need to demand this, and how do you demand it? Is that so the first, generally speaking, a data good generally in most of our organization, people are creating a data governance group which is separate, which sits very adjacent to the data science or data engineering group. It sits adjacent to that. So if the group is not there, they should demand that we should create a group of data governance, and they should become a steward of some data. So once you become
Mm,
the stewards of some data element, um, then you are involved in those committee meetings, you are involved in that process. So once you are involved in the process of the data governance, you know ins and outs of what is going on, and that will help you
okay.
to kind of do this whole entire kind of like, those are the things which you can do in order to start the data governance process, as well as to be the part of the data governance process. Like a lot of people should be the data steward. Like everybody who is working in this should be the part of the data steward to maintain certain quality of the aspects of the data which you are generating, at least, right? Because you, as data scientist, you must be generating some data. So that becomes the responsibility of everyone to create a good quality data, as well as good metadata, good description of the data, upload, put the description into data catalog. And all this information have to be done in order to become a very good data scientist. You need a high quality data, and high quality data comes from the absolute right information about the data, what exactly it is, where it is coming from. And this information come from catalog, which can give you all this information in a very simple manner, basically.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thanks for that question, Andrew, and amazing insights, Sharad. Definitely helps us to understand a lot how that other side of the game also works when it's about you being a data scientist or a data architect out there. My question, I kind of wonder a lot. How can someone create a roadmap to becoming a chief data officer? And this could be a little, obviously data governance kind of plays a very important role when we talk about CDOs. But what's an ideal path, and what's that role, of data governance that plays in, the position of a CDO? I would love to know more about that angle.
So I will give you so this has actually happened in again. So the multiple of our customers who bought
Yeah.
OvalEdge, and they basically the becoming the they were like a chief analytical officer, not analytical officer, but they were director of analytics.
Yeah.
And they did the data governance project for their company for 1 year or 2 year. And I've seen that mostly people are going as a CDO in different organization now, or some people are getting promoted to the same organization as the chief data officer. Because
Mm.
chief data officer means that you need to be able to have the ability to sell data to your ability to sell the data to your colleagues in within the organization. So the
Yeah.
chief data officer is a sales role in my understanding, right? Plus, obviously, the execution role. Execution role is the sense that you need to execute the data science strategy. You need to execute the data governance strategy. If you just execute the data science strategy, which is the like, okay, I will do that. Again, the same analogy. If your democracy is not functioning, the innovation will not happen. So in order to happen the data science, you need to execute the data governance part. And once you do both things, say for example, you are doing you are a director of analytics somewhere, and then
Yeah.
after that you do a little governance project for some that company for 1 year, 2 year, implemented overlay or some tool like that. That will give you the ability to understand data governance aspect for 1 year, 2 year, and after that you are good for data chief CDO role for this organization or similar organization, something similar. It depends upon how do you want to work upon it. But you need both skill set, the leadership role as well as the technical skills to understand to become a CDO role. The people from the CDO governance role can also be promoted to the very easily to the CDO role. I have seen this all the time. Uh,
Mm.
but they also have generally they do have background of analytics, so you need both skills, analytical skills and this skills, as well as some more of like architecture skills, and something is also good in order to go to the CDO level. But this give you a foundation of leadership, and as well as the multiple coordination here and there everywhere around, because you're coordinating with business to things. So once you are coordinating it, you become a good salesman, and you becomes a good salesman. That means you become a good salesperson to sell data to within the organization. Ultimately, CDO role is to bring more money to your project, to your group, so that more data value can be created. So you need to first bring the money to sell this, and then you have to deliver on it to kind of do. So that's how the CDO roles are.
Okay, that's pretty interesting and great analogy there. When obviously you look at CDOs not only just into a role which is uh, them doing the sales internally, but also making sure that the governance is kind of in place, and they kind of make sure that the data is in place. Honestly, all right. That brings me to another question from George, which is quite interesting. And since we are talking about roles here, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. So, Sharad, what part of data governance do you most enjoy practicing?
Okay, I think that for me, the most challenging would be I would say that the challenging one is always the coordination of various people for the literacy aspect, making the business, building the business glossary or something. That is always I would say that is a difficult time bringing everybody together and kind of like do this. That's a little bit challenging, I would say. Um, and the easy part is access. We have figured out a mechanism that how do you do it. How do you identify, how do you classify your PII data, how do you classify your confidential data, and giving
Mm.
access to everyone. So I generally enjoy the access part more, because as soon as you do with it, and then suddenly every data is available to everyone, and they started driving the innovation on it. Then, and it's activity which is not also um, like it is never finished. It does finish. It's kind of a project work. While the data literacy and data quality is not a project, they're like endless. They will keep going. I can guarantee that you cannot say that my data is every data is a piece of good quality. It's just not happening in an organization. So this is a kind of continuous activity, while data access management is kind of like you are done with it. Again, there is some program which keep going at it, but not to that level. When you start with it, you do with it, and that's you done with it. That right. So I generally enjoy the access management aspect more than the literacy aspect and the quality aspect. But again, those are the three areas which is there.
Fantastic. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. You kind of like, if there's a start and an end to a task, that makes more sense to you rather than obviously going on a journey which is endless. So and I'm sure the folks who are out there who love learning about data literacy, they can go on and on and on. And it's the same with data quality, because the more the data kind of comes in, there's more to learn and more to check if the data is kind of right in place. So those are fantastic insights. Thanks for sharing, Sharad. Obviously, just a quick reminder to the folks who have joined us today. We're giving away one annual subscription of 365 Data Science. So what you can do is put a hashtag 365 Data Science in the chat, and you'll enter the raffle. And towards the end of the show, we will be announcing one winner of the annual subscription. Sharad, my question, and I'm sure a lot of people have this question, like, what experience in related fields help people to move to data governance? It could be, for example, if it's an IT person or an analyst, does those experience kind of help them to move to a role in data governance, or how does that work?
So any person who is in IT, the developers or somebody, can obviously the project management is a very good experienced person can come into the data governance area very easily, especially the data governance manager or something similar role in that area, maybe subordinate of that. And then and the people who knows in the developer also, the people who have dealt with some data as a data developer, like who knows SQL skills, etc., can come to the data field, and then they can come to the data governance field, right? I will not advise anybody to start the career from the day one in data governance. That you have to work as a developer, work as a data scientist or data engineer for some time to really understand the skills and the craft. Then you come to the data governance field to advance your career further in leadership role and something like that. That's how it works, because it's like directly coming into the leadership without having a skill of like what to do. Like you need to know what actually people does that. Like a businessman become a good politician. A academic can become a good politician. The person who is coming from 20 years, no, I am a student and now I'm becoming a politician. It doesn't have that much knowledge and with what they will do. Again, there are examples on that area. I'm not saying that, but generally speaking, the people come from some deep background of one understanding, become a good politician. Same thing is here. The people who have some data knowledge, some SQL skills, something come into data engineering field, data science field, data, that area, and then come to the leadership role of data governance, and kind of from there you can take a very good leap to become a chief data officer and something like that.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Also, I had this question since a while, and what made you start a company in data governance? Basically, like, what was that reason that, okay, data governance would be my thing and I want to start my career in this? And we actually have a question around this as well, from Manisha. Why did you choose to start a company in data governance? How was the risk? Like, what was the risk?
So I didn't start the company in data governance. I started the company in data discovery field. So my objective was that when all the so as I said that when I was at the Cloudera Hortonworks, people are moving all the data at one big data center environment. So they kind of pretty known to us that when the data will be moved at one place, it needs some sort of a discovery mechanism. So when we started running the discovery problem and we are solving it, we realized, oh man, this is you cannot solve a discovery problem unless people put proper information into it. That become the literacy aspect of it. Well, you cannot solve the literacy discovery problem. What if people are able to find salary information of one or other, and then they can see other information? So that help us to access problem. So, and the same thing happened to the quality problem. So we actually solving the customer's problem and the customers had a name for it called data governance, and that's why we say, okay, we are data governance software. But we were actually solving a business problem for the customer to allow people to create the value from the data, and that's what our objective was. And ultimately, the people say, though, this field is called data governance. Okay, then this is data governance then. Now people are also saying this is data intelligence. Some people are saying, no, this is a data fabric. Some people say this is data mesh. Some people are saying, every day somebody is creating a new word for it. I really do not know what the word is, but the problem is legit, and the problem is there, and this problem we have to solve it, whatever the word it is. So we have solved this problem quite a bit, and the risk is there. Yeah, and when you start a company, is always a risk. We have. I personally have heard so many no's, like no in the sense that, okay, this project is not good, the product is not good. Again, at the start of the career, we're like, before we got the funding, we were like all over, like, no, the software doesn't work, software is not good, software is not that. But we heard these no's, we know what customer don't like and what they like. So it's a journey which basically every no have given an opportunity to kind of learn from it, and why they're saying no, and it's kind of like there's a lot of lesson learned from it, and that's the risk part. And always, entrepreneurship involves a risk, so we were aware about it. So.
No, I think that definitely that's been, it's been a fantastic journey, at least from what we have spoken, and I've known you since a while now. I know for a fact that OvalEdge has come across, breaking all the stereotypes and just being out there, making sure that, even after all the no's, the product is super strong. You kind of believed in it, and you are with more than like 200 or 300 folks in your company. It does make a lot of difference there. So hats off to you, Sharad, definitely for doing great work, and to the complete team of OvalEdge. Also, we have an interesting question around data governance from YouTube here. Let's take this one from Rajni Bandari. Which industries are facing data governance issues at peak?
So I think I have a very good answer because I'm working with multiple industries here.
Yeah.
Mostly, the healthcare is the most in dire need of data governance. They are in dire need because their data is like everywhere and it's just chaotic. Financial industry need it because they cannot make it wrong decisions about financial needs, right? So the idea here is that that they just need it. Like if you say gross margin, the definition is not right for gross margin and is not telling you the right number, the quality of the data have to be right. Like bank, for example, they have to report it, they have to calculate multiple times, their number have to match up. So the financial and the healthcare are two major industries where the healthcare is in dire need for the data governance because their data is like everywhere and it's just in very, very bad shape. While in the financial, they are good shape data. I mean, if you think compared to healthcare, the financial industry have much better shape data, but they cannot afford to make any mistakes. So that's why they need a lot of data governance. And then all the companies like for example, educational industry needs it quite a bit. Their data is also not in very good shape. And then all other verticals like government, utilities, everybody needs it. But those are the two industry which is like immediately comes out of it very easy.
Oh, fantastic. I think that's, I think you still kind of pretty much covered a ground where how important data governance is in all the industries. Obviously, healthcare and finance kind of plays a very important role, and they have like a lot of data. So it does make a lot of sense. Also, a quick question here. So if you had to give like 3 tips to anyone who's wanting to start their career in data governance, what would these 3 tips be, Sharad?
So the tips would be, the first tips is understand the basics, that how things work and why they need it, right? Focus on why is quite a bit, that why are we doing this kind of thing. If we focus on that, that's like understanding of it. The second thing is, I would say that it takes time and effort a little bit to get this going. Like it takes a time to convince other people, right? So although it's very obvious, but it takes time and effort. So be patient about data governance journey. It's not going to happen like that. Like it needs some love and care. So that is the second tip. Um, I would say that the in order to become a good data, you hone on your communication skills more to become a good data governance manager, right? Or and going to this, like communication is the key aspect of data governance, and learn to communicate well. That I would say.
Okay, these are fantastic tips for those who are wanting to get into data governance and make their career. I think no one better than Sharad who could give us these amazing tips. So, and obviously, you can always reach out to Sharad. He's always there on LinkedIn. But okay, Sharad, it's time for us to quickly announce the winners for today, and then we'll take one question from the audience, which I can see around data quality. And I have another question for you around OvalEdge that we would love to take. So let's quickly do this. We have entries here already. Let's do the raffle and see who the winner is for an annual subscription of 365 Data Science. And the winner is Ramanath Bhathe. Congratulations, you win an annual subscription of 365 Data Science, and feel free to reach out and I will be happy to share the code. Awesome. All right, so the one question that I was wanting to take from the audience was from a LinkedIn user. I think the LinkedIn user is Jane. So let's see. So Jane is saying, I'm really interested in data quality. How and what exactly data governance? How does maybe the data governance improve and ensure the data quality?
So generally, what we call it a data quality improvement life cycle, right? So data, in order to improve the quality of the data, it cannot be improved like, oh, okay, here press the button and it need to be improved, right? It's not going to happen. So first thing is that you have to identify the problems where the problem exists, right? You have to find the root cause of the problem. Then you have to fix the problem, and then you have to control it, right? So it's kind of like a Six Sigma process: define, measure, analyze, control. But it's like a identify the problem. So identification of the problem happens that provide your user ability to report the problem wherever they see it. In OvalEdge, we have a little plugin everywhere available. So wherever they see the report or something, they can press the button and say, hey, there is a problem. Tell me the problem, what the problem is, right? So that's first you have a backlog of all the problems of the data quality, which the end users are reporting, which is always a good idea, right? To start from there. So let's understand the problem so that you can identify the basic problem first. Then once you have the list of problems, you can see that which in OvalEdge you also have the importance of the data assets, so you can see which is highly important data, which is less important data. So you identify the problem based on its importance and say, okay, these are the data assets which is highly important, and these are the problems which is coming in there, and then you focus on those problems. Identify the root cause of the problem. Root cause can happen by lineage impact analysis, can give you the identify the problem of it. OvalEdge, we have a tool called impact analysis, which give you the root of the problem, like identify the root of the problem. Then you see where the problem is, and you fix the problem. The problem can be the problem fix can happen either there are two ways. Either you fix the data in the source system, or you fix the business process in the source system so that the data will never get the wrong data. Or sometimes there is a ETL problem, like the transformational problem, that when the data we are massaging it basically because of the programming you failed it. So if this is an ETL problem, it's a quick fix, you find out and you fix it. If this is a transformational change or something, you have to make sure the application doesn't let you that bad data enter into it. And the change in the application level and the source data, you correct it, right? So once you correct it, then after that, you improve it. Like this is how you correct and improve it. And then you have to put some sort of a control in place so that it never happen again. So the control generally put into form of data quality rules. You can write some rules in there so that you're putting some rules in place so that whenever the wrong data comes in, it alerts you and then say, oh, this come up. Then you start the process again, the why it happened, and then do it. So that's a typical data quality improvement life cycle to improve the quality of the data. through the data governance, like it's a process in that. But there is also like what should be the quality, how should be the quality. That generally data governance people give you, that when you are running the committee meeting and understand that, okay, this is what we consider as a good quality data. So sometimes there is also a mechanism to understand the good quality data. You can write rules on that, and that's another way of improving the quality. So there are multiple ways of improving the quality, and like those are the two traditional mechanisms are there. There is a one part which is like third party data, which is like people are giving you a lot of data. Our business process is good. We produce a good quality data, but we gather the data from weather channel, we gather the data from other organizations, and their data you have to focus. So there is also third party data governance, where you can take the data from third party and ensure that you are validating the data before you enter into your data processing layer. So there are multiple ways to handle the data quality.
Okay, this is fantastic information, and Jane, obviously she appreciates it. So thank you very much for that question, Jane. And also, Sharad, one last question that I have for you is about this space and where will it be in the next 2 to 3 years, and how are you, obviously moving OvalEdge with that in the next 2 to 3 years. So where do you see it going?
I see that the one thing we know for sure that the data governance will become the foundational layer in terms of like you need two layers to be foundational. One is the data platform. You need a data platform, which is like the companies like Snowflake, Databricks, Hadoop. These are all the large big data companies, which is creating a data platform where you can put all the data. Another foundational element, you need a business process in order to do this, like which is nothing but governance, right? So you need that. Those two things are needed in order to fuel your digital transformation journey or any kind of digital optimization, whatever the word is, right? So in order to do that, you need those foundation layers. So this, until unless you do this space of the data and the value is not going to be improved. So I think that the investment which is happening in the AI area, which is happening in this area, is cannot be worthwhile until unless you do the data governance properly. So that's a basics need of it. So I personally feel this space is going to grow way faster than I have imagined, and it's growing a little bit faster than I have imagined, and it continues to grow for next 10 years. That's like growing like significant growth, like 30, 40, 50% growth. We will see every year on over a year, kind of like go this space to grow that.
These are fantastic insights. Trust me, Sharad, it helps us a lot to learn about data governance, about how this space will be evolving. And today we've learned a lot about how to get into this, what are the roles, and you've kind of summed it up very well. So thank you very much once again for all of this. Just one last question that I have, and this is for our audience too. If anyone wants to reach out and learn more about OvalEdge, about the academy, what's the best place to reach out to you?
So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter or email, or LinkedIn, Twitter is a good way to kind of like you can reach me out. Another one is an academy is academy.overlanders.com.
Yep.
It's very simple. Those are the ways to reach me out.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sharad. This was amazing. I am super happy you could make time for us and talk a lot around data governance today. We definitely looking for another session very soon. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us and asking amazing questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ravit. You're doing a good job making this data podcast, and this one is amazingly very well needed. So thank you for doing this.
Thanks, Sharad. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. See you again.